So here is the deal. We are starting off with our first meetup of 2021. Super excited to let you know that we've got Wyn Hopkins coming all the way from the west coast of New Zealand. Sorry, from the west coast of Australia, as we corrected on our social media today. I just wanted to see his expression on that. So Wyn's going to be giving us a fantastic tour of why you need Excel 365. But before we do that, we're going to just go through and round out a little bit of housekeeping here. So as I say, this is the first meetup of the year and our first Excel meetup of the year, which is going to be excellent. So what we're doing right now is we're just into the welcome and overview. I think my times on this are off by an hour. We're working on Alberta time here. It's the first meetup of the year, so things are changing. And we'll be into our feature presentation in about 5 minutes. And then after that, we'll let Wyn run for an hour or as long as Wyn decides to spend on this kind of stuff. So we're looking for all kinds of good stuff. And I know Wyn's got an awful lot to talk about. I was giving him a hard time about that before it all started off. I want to say a big thanks to the sponsors that make this stuff possible here. Group, my company, obviously is one of the primary sponsors. We are specialists in Excel and Power BI training and consulting. So if you never need help with those, let us know. We also have our Stillwave training is part of our sponsorships here as well. There is a ton of video content that's available here, some of the best training that we think on the planet, and we're working on making it better all the time. Our Power Query Academy is there, some dimensional modeling training and others. So we highly recommend that you check that out as well. And also, of course, Microsoft gives us a lot of help along the way for many different things. So we'd like to give them a as we normally do. One thing that I'd sort of like to make sure as well is please keep yourself muted as we go through the presentation here, and make sure that that Wyn gets the attention that he has, so that we don't have voices going on in the background. Although I'm sure that Wyn is more than happy to take questions by voice if you've got one of them. Sure. We just love talking about Excel and whatnot, so it shouldn't be an issue. Just to let people know, our next meetup for Power BI Track is going to be on Thursday, January 21st. It is going to be, for real, a 6 p.m. start on the west coast of Canada. Parv Channa is going to be giving us a deep dive into Power BI paginated reports, which is going to be cool. And we're announcing our next Excel meetup, Thursday, February 4th. We've got Howie Dickerman from the Excel team, the guy that's responsible for working on Power Pivot in Excel, is going to be here to give us a talk on DAX formulas in Excel. So this is going to be pretty exciting, because Howie's one of the few people in the world that can actually talk louder than I can, I think, and gets even more passionate about Power Pivot than I do, which is always kind of fun. So that should be a good time. The other thing I want to mention here, the Excel Global Summit is coming up. There's a huge amount of speakers that are involved in this one. Please check that out. There's going to be lots of sessions and masterclasses. Even though my face is not on there, I know I'm actually doing a masterclass. When are you involved with this one? Are you?
Not me. Not,
there you go. No worries. All kinds of good stuff. Lots of famous people in there, and well worth checking out for sure. The Microsoft Excel team is also still running their Excel user group survey. If you haven't filled this out from one of our previous meetups, please join and give your opinion to Microsoft. They would love to hear from you. And the last thing that I'm going to close out with on my slides here is I'm going to let you know that we are always looking for speakers, both in Excel and Power BI side of things. If you are interested in coming online and speaking and showing some people some of the cool stuff that you've done, please make sure that you let us know. You can fill out the survey here at excelguru.ca/speak@vanpug, and we'll get in touch with you to talk about the topics and get you on our platform here. So, and on that note, I'm going to round this one off here, and I'm going to hand the floor over to Wyn. It is now your turn, my friend, to go show us about Excel.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Ken. Cheers for that. Thank you, everybody, for coming along. Happy New Year. So, Wyn Hopkins, that's my name. I'm based in Perth, Western Australia, just for Ken's benefit. There's a big arrow pointing to where it is. You can find me on Twitter, LinkedIn. We've got an Access Analytic YouTube channel. So, yeah, you know where to find us. Okay, lots to cover off today. This is a ridiculous amount that I realized when I started putting it together, that why have I agreed to do all this stuff? But actually, I've tried to fit it all together in some sort of logical order as well. So tons to get through. Ken will shout out if there's questions in the chat that I need to address, or please shout out as well if you have questions. So let's get underway. So the new things basically that have come last year, some of these things actually got introduced the year before in the beta channel, but we're going to cover off a whole range, not absolutely everything, but pretty much all the stuff that I think is really useful. So let's start off with dynamic array formulas, the new functions that came out, unique, sort, filter, sort by. So let me just show you some of these. So this is pretty cool, okay? There's a new function called unique, and you can just highlight like a list of locations, for example, press enter, and there you go. You've got a unique list, removed all the duplicates, pretty awesome, and it's dynamic. So if you added more locations into this list, this little list would automatically expand. You can see the little highlighting. If I type something in the way, you get this spill error. If you click on the word spill, you show where the formula wants to go. If you get rid of what's in the way, the formula comes back. Okay, we can also use a new function called sort. So I can wrap this in a sort, and by default, it'll sort alphabetically. You've got some options in there. And there we go. It's now a sorted list that'll dynamically update. That's pretty awesome. So then I want to do a little sum-ifs formula. So equals sum-ifs. Okay, I want to sum up the pay. I'm just going to highlight this table column by clicking there, where the location column, okay, comma, equals this word. Okay, so it's going to sum all the results for Albany. But the magic of arrays is, because this column here is an array, I can do the hash sign, and you see how the whole thing highlights. If I take it away, it disappears. Click the hash sign again. Alternatively, if I did actually manually select all this, it would automatically put the hash in there. Close the bracket, enter, and there's my dynamic values automatically spilling down. And if I added a new area, a new location, it would spill down, and so would the formula. Beautiful. You can then even do something more like a pivot table, like a matrix. So if I get a list of departments, so again, I'll use the equals unique to get a list of departments. Okay, there they are. But I want them to go across the screen, so you can use the transpose function. Okay, so transpose that formula. Let me just put a bracket on the end up here. Okay, and there's my list of departments. And I'm just going to copy this formula across. Let's just $sign that one. Copy it across here. Okay, and then let's just expand this by looking at the department equals this. And again, I'll put the hash, so it refers to the whole array. See, when I actually put the hash in, it refers to the whole thing. Awesome. Yeah, a dynamic two-way matrix that will auto expand as you add more locations or more departments. Unfortunately, the formatting doesn't flow through with it, but hopefully that'll be on the cards at some point. Right. So I want to now.
I'm in my thing here, which is fine. It's no big deal. We left you. The chips and guac got hit down pretty hard. I did leave you some, not much, but a little bit. Oh, I put some salsas back in the fridge. I think I left your.
Let's just mute Dan. As much as I like his salsa, I don't think that's relevant for you. Look, let's do a filter now. So I want to filter all the locations with a value greater than 2000. So the filter function. So all these functions are available for anybody on Excel 365. They were made mainstream in July of last year. So if you haven't got it, it means you haven't run the updates if you're on 365, okay? So we're going to filter this range here, but I also want to include this result. So I'm going to do a semicolon and then click on this cell. Now that would actually give me the whole range, but I'm just going to be, I don't know, a bit sort of pedantic about it and put a hash on there as well, just to make it nice and clear that that's what I'm doing. Okay, where this range, the M5 range, is greater than 2000. And there's my filtered range, okay? So you can do that sort of thing as well. The filter function is awesome. There's all sorts of parameters. You can do ands and ors and all sorts of things in there. But I want to sort this now in order. So this is one array. So you don't need to use the sort by function for that. You can use the sort function again. So I want to sort this array, and I could highlight it and it'll automatically put the hash in there for me. Okay, by, and the sort index is the column you want to sort by, so the second column. Okay, and it goes descend or ascending by default. So if I want it to go descending, I need to put a -1 in there. So automatically sorting. If you want to sort, there's another function called sort by. Okay, so the sort by function is when you want to sort by two different arrays. So I want to sort this array, L5, by this array, which is M5. Okay, so you can do that. That would then sort it. Actually, I want to sort it descending. Oops, didn't put it in. -1. There we go. So there's all of them, New York, Darwin, Perth. So that's all, rather than just the ones over $2,000. Okay, and you can even do it all in one fancy function. You don't have to have two separate tables. This is one fancy function using let, which I'll talk about shortly. I won't go into this one here, just in the interest of time. Okay. Okay. So that's a brief introduction into unique sort, filter, sort by. Sequence is one of those new functions that's a little bit like, what am I going to do with that? But actually it can be pretty powerful. So let me just try these out. So the sequence function, you give it a number of rows. So just one row, 10 columns, press enter, and there's a nice little sequence of numbers. You've also got optional, what do you want to start from? By default, it's 1. What do you want to increment by? By default, it's 1. So if you leave them out, you just get a nice little list. So what could you use that for? Well, there's lots of financial modeling type things and forecasting and all sorts of uses for iterating through different months or expanding out months and years and days and all those sorts of things. But I'll just do a bit of a fun one here. So we can do equals sequence. Okay. The number of rows is 1. The number of columns is going to be the length of this word hello. Okay. So there's 5 letters in hello and there's 5 items here. So then we're going to say equals mid. And if you don't know what mid does, basically you can pick a piece of text, do a comma. What do I want to start from? Character number 2. How many characters do you want to bring back? 1. Okay, that gives me an E. If I start at character 5, it gives me an O. Okay, but rather than this, I can actually refer to this sequence. Okay, and now I've got the word split into different cells. I have no idea why you want to do that, but you can. Okay. And then you can even get further carried away with a bit of conditional formatting and do stuff like this, you know, and you can say is a really fun function. Okay, so you can do all sorts of stuff with sequence, just generating numbers, spilling things down the range, reworking calculations based on column or row numbers, all sorts of useful things. Okay. One factor about the new array features of formulas is that I don't think you necessarily need some product anymore. I'm not a big user of some product, so I'm putting a big caveat around that statement. But let me show you this. This is what you used to have to do, or you couldn't do this, I should say, really. If I go equals that little range, okay, times that little range, you wouldn't get that in old Excel. Okay, it wouldn't spill down. And you certainly couldn't then wrap it in a sum formula without doing curly brackets or using the sum product function. But now you can just do it. Okay, you can even do sort of sum ifs. So if I go equals this little range here equals the letter A, I get true, false, false. Then I say equals this little range here equals the letter C. I get false, false, true. I then add those together. So equals this array. Okay, hash plus that array hash, get 101. Then I multiply this by this little range by that little range. Okay, and I could sum that, and I do that all in one nice little formula here. C5 to C7 equals A plus C5 to C7 equals C times one little formula, and there you go, like a sum ifs based on whatever letters you want to pick. But my favorite, okay, my favorite, the big news last year was XLOOKUP. Absolutely awesome. Okay, they needed dynamic arrays to be available before XLOOKUP could really come into its own. So XLOOKUP, look, if you've ever done VLOOKUPs or index match, XLOOKUP just replaces those, okay? So I'm looking up the word grape in this little list here. So there we can see it, okay, comma. What do you want to return? Well, no more counting columns, column 1, column 5, for your VLOOKUP. All you do is highlight the column you want to bring back the result from. And that's it, you press enter. And it just works, it's just simple. That's the beauty of XLOOKUP, okay? And you can look up to the left, okay? XLOOKUP, grape, highlight the little range here that you want to look for the word grape, comma, bring back the result to the left, just as easy, no counting columns, no fancy other functions, press enter, all good, okay? And if I put the word grapes there, it can't find it. You used to have to wrap things in if errors, but now all you have to do is a comma at the end, and if not found, as you put the word missing or whatever word you want to put in there, and there we go. Beautiful, simple, easy to write, easy to understand, all good, okay? Now, I'll make the statement VLOOKUP can't look left, and people go, oh, it can, right? But this is, for those of you who don't know this, let me put the word grape back in, okay? So this is a VLOOKUP in here, and it is bringing back the result of 40, which is the result to the left, but you have to use this choose 1, 2 in curly brackets. No one likes that, okay? So the other nice thing is that XLOOKUP is a defaults to an exact match. So this is a little VLOOKUP here, okay? It's giving me the result of 40 for grape. Beautiful, working nicely. But let me change this word cherry to grapefruit, and I wonder what result the VLOOKUP will give me. 20, which is the result for banana. Yay, excellent. Okay, what? That's because I forgot to put the comma 0 at the end. So by default, VLOOKUP does an approximate match. And if you don't have your list sorted properly, it'll give you the next nearest match. So it sees the word grape within grapefruit and gives you a result for banana. Thank God for XLOOKUP is what I say, okay? Thank God. Also, HLOOKUP, that's done away with as well. So XLOOKUP, look up the word March, okay, in this little list here, bring me back the little result here, enter, nice and easy, March is number 3. Okay, awesome.
Exact hey, Wyn, you got some commentary that yeah, it looks like you're not the only fan of this. But then Mr. Peltier would like to know what font you're using. The highly technical questions for XLOOKUP in cell B2. I think that might have actually been on the previous page. Or no, here it is. Here you go.
Up here. This one here, John. That's my smart art. What's the word? Smart text. I can't even remember what it's called. So yeah, that's under the and the font in here, Berlin Sans FB Demi.
Good Lord. There you go.
There you go. That's not the question I was expecting. So thanks for that, John. Right. So here we go. XLOOKUP can also now return ranges. So you can use those to help something like a dependent drop-down box. So I want to be able to pick a project from a box here and get the list of staff under that project or the list of managers in that next drop-down, okay? So this little range here is going to form one of my drop-down boxes. I'm just going to come up here and call it DD primary, okay? And highlight this and go data validation, list. Little trick, press F3 to get a list of all the names you've written, okay? And then it's DD primary. I could have just typed in DD primary as well. Here's my primary little drop down, project A, project B, okay? Pretty straightforward. But now over here, I have got a list of the people underneath project A. So this is a formula I built earlier, and I'll show you how I built it now. So this is a list of all the people in project A. Tess and May, Ran, Sam and Imogen are all in project B. And if I change this back to project A, that would change as well, okay? So how did I do this little list? Because then what I can do is highlight this and say data validation, okay, go for list again and refer to this cell, get rid of the $ in front of the 13 because I want the validation to spill down or to run down that list of 3 cells I've selected. okay, and put a little hash there because it's a dynamic array that I'm referencing. And click OK. And now this little drop-down box is May. This project B drop-down box refers to Sam, and so on. Okay, so how did I build this secondary drop-down? Okay, well, let's take a look here. First of all, equals XLOOKUP. I am going to look up this project. I'm going to use this one just for ease. Okay, that one, project A, in this row of headers, comma, and bring back the entire table, or look through the entire table. When it finds a result, it'll bring back the column. So press enter. There we go. Okay, and I could wrap it in a if not, or put an if not found no department at the end. And ultimately, if I put a transpose around that, that's it. It's done, and I could put that formula up here. Okay, the transpose will make it go sideways. Job done. However, I want to be a perfectionist. I want to get rid of these zeros. Okay, so how do you get rid of the zeros? Well, what I'll do is I'll copy this formula, okay, and show you. So here we have our result. I'm going to filter out where that equals 0. So I'm going to copy it, then say equals filter. Okay, filter this result where, okay, Alt and Enter, this result doesn't equal 0. Alt and Enter, close the bracket. Okay, so that now filters out the blanks. And if I put that in a transpose, that would go sideways, and I could just easily do that. But I'm going to be even more of a perfectionist and now use the new let function. So the let function was added this year. What it allows you to do is reuse a piece of formula over and over again. So whenever you see something the same used twice in your formula, consider using let, because it'll make your formula easier to read and also perform better, because I have to evaluate that twice. Whereas the let function should allow me to evaluate it just once and then use it a couple of times. So let's do that. Let's put it over here. Okay. I am going to use the let function. So let, Alt Enter. Then what you do is you have to set a variable. So I'm going to set a variable, and I tend to use this underscore var and call it the column that's returned. Okay, comma, you don't put equals, and I'm going to put this function as that variable. Okay, and then Alt Enter to make this a bit easier to read. Okay, so there's my variable set. If anybody's ever done DAX formulas in Power BI, you know, I'm trying to approach it in a very similar way. So you have your variable set like that, and then I can replace this. And this is the reason I use underscore. I haven't used this a lot in real world yet, but when I do start using it a lot, I'm going to refine my approach here. But this is the approach I'm coming up with currently, because as soon as I do underscore, okay, so filter, and I need to put a little comma at the end here, otherwise it's not going to work. Okay, filter underscore.
My
opening bracket. Come on. Thank you, Ken. Okay, underscore. Third time lucky. See, it just comes up with var column. So filter var column. Okay, put that on a new line. Replace this with underscore var column. Okay, put a little bracket on the end, and there we got it. We've got my let function with evaluating that once and using it a couple of times. So all we do then is take that. So that's a bit of, you know, making this as efficient as possible. Totally don't have to do that, especially for the volume of calculations we're doing here. But we take that, we wrap it in a transpose. Okay, put another little bracket on the end. So there's your result. And if you want to be really fancy, you can wrap that in a sort, just to get it sorted alphabetically for that drop-down list. So the formula looks a little bit crazy, but there we go. We've got a nice little formula that we can put in here, and we can even use an X match to look up this value in this little list. Okay, hash, and that will say that is a number, that is a number, that is an NA, and I can say, okay, if so is number, wrap it in an is number. So this little checkbox will be here to say, okay, if somebody changes this list to project A, Sam is not in that list. So there's a way of checking that you can make this box change color as well based on this result. So there we go. Okay, secondary dynamic arrays, secondary drop-down boxes, sorry. Ultimately, the simplest one is this. If you want to happy with showing the zeros, it's nice and straightforward. That's all it is. Whereas if you want to filter out blanks, you can repeat it twice. And if you want to really go the full hog and simplify it, we're using the let function. And really, I was using this as an example of let and how you can use var or use a set a variable. This can be called anything, but I'm in the habit now of underscore var to name my variables, personal preference. And then you transpose and sort it. So there we go. Okay, so awesome. Okay, if you're still with me after that.
Here, Wyn, you got a question actually.
Oh yes, question.
Can you let multiple variables?
Absolutely. So yeah, you can set as many different variables as you want. So within here, you know, you could filter, you could set a variable for, you know, doesn't equal something else. That naught could become a variable, and you can have as many as you want. So you just, they go in pairs. So basically there's a variable statement, and then whatever the variable is. So I could do this, Alt Enter, underscore var filter value, comma 0, and then put that var filter value there instead of that 0, and you can just build up as many as you want. But yeah, the comment there from John, we definitely need a better formula editing experience, because this is painful. Getting your alts in the right place and your screen getting bigger and all this sort of stuff, we really need a better formula editing experience. Cool. Awesome. Okay. And Brent as well. Yeah, definitely agree. Right, so lambdas. Okay. I'm not going to go into lambdas in too much depth. I'm just going to show you what they are and how you get started with one. There's been some awesome content already produced by people around different sorts of functionality you can produce with lambdas. I'm just going to show you the basics. So I came up with what could I use a lambda for right now? So a useful function is a sheet name function. Okay, I want to get the name of the current sheet or the name of another sheet. So there's a function already called cell file name, and this is what it results in. So this is the cell file name function, and it gives you the full file path plus right at the end, okay, after the square bracket, it gives you the sheet name. Okay, that's the name of this current sheet, lambda sheet demo. Okay, so that's the basic starting point. So what I want to do is extract everything after that square bracket. So I need to find the square bracket and do a mid formula to extract the text after that bracket. And then I'm going to turn that whole thing into a lambda because it's a function that I want to be able to call sheet name and then use in multiple sheets. Okay, just rather than this sort of messy formula. So the find function finds the square bracket and gives me the text character number 125. So if I counted all these characters, the square bracket would be character number 125. Okay, and then you can use that inside a mid function. So here we go. Here's the formula here. Mid, that file name thing to find the square bracket. +1 to start the character up.
I'm just going to interrupt you for a quick second here because I'm getting a couple of comments coming into the chat asking to see your screen.
Oh yeah,
guys, this is another really awesome Teams feature that what's happened is it's actually put spotlight on Wyn's head because it thinks that, you know, his pretty face is the most important thing that it's showing you. But if you actually click down in the bottom where the little card is, it'll actually bring up the screen again. Yeah, sorry, there were air quotes around the word awesome. You're quite correct, John. So I don't know how to turn that off. This is the first time I've seen this feature coming, but we'll be looking into that.
Exit spotlight. There you go. I've got a button saying exit spotlight.
Maybe you should exit the spotlight then. There we go. That'll probably work better. Fantastic. Thanks, buddy. New
feature that we didn't need and didn't know about. Excellent. Okay, so sorry about that. So yeah, going back, we've got basically this function called cell file name that gives you the full path. We're going to find the little square bracket, which is character 125, and extract everything after the square bracket. Okay, that gives us this. That's the formula. That's the result. Beautiful. Okay, you can use that formula over and over again. Happy days. However, that's a long old formula. It's a bit messy. It might be nice to turn that into a named function. And these were the things that were the remit of macro VBA, user-defined functions. You'd have to get into the world of VBA to start doing that sort of named function type thing. So we can just do it with lambdas, right? So firstly, we're going to introduce our friend let. Now, you don't have to use let with lambda, but I think they probably work quite well together, because I've looked at this formula here and I've seen cell file name A1 twice. Alarm bells go off, let, right? So I'm going to set a variable. Sorry, I'll go to this one. I'm going to set a variable called file path. There we go, cell file name. And I'm just editing this formula up here, the mid formula, and replacing it with mid file path. I've even gone one step further to make it even more like DAX functions, where I've used var result and then spat out var result at the end. The reason I've gone down that approach is you can debug your formulas a bit better by spitting out, rather than var result at the end, I want to spit out var file path to see if that's working. So there's my var file path, and I can swap that to underscore var result to spit out the result. You know, total overkill until your formula goes wrong, and then it's a godsend that you can actually just quickly toggle between the different variables, especially if you've got 2 or 3 variables that are making up the formula. You can debug it by just returning the variable to see which one is broken. So little tip there on that I'm going to start using with let when I start using it in anger in the real world. Okay, so here's my let function. Awesome. Right, where does lambda come into this? Well, I want to be able to turn that into a named function, right? So here we go. This is what we do. We put lambda at the start, and then rather than the cell reference that I was putting in here, so let me just go back up to this one and say I was referring to cell A1. What you can do is put a variable, just like for let, you can, in your lambda function, you can put a variable in so that when somebody types the function name in, you type something into the brackets and it uses that in the formula. So I'm just going to replace that with a lambda variable. And to help me distinguish, I'm calling mine lf var for lambda function variable cell ref, and I've just put it there. Okay. And if you don't do anything else, okay, you just put a round bracket on the end, you will get this calc error, because lambda functions on their own, you're not actually passing it any variable like the cell A1. To test it, you can put a bracket on the end, A1, or whatever cell you want to refer to, and then it gives you the result, okay? So what's the point of that? It's the same as the result. So the point is this, the next step. We take this function, excluding the A1 on the end, okay, and keep the equal sign. We take that, copy it. We go into name manager, formula, define name. We call it I'm going to call mine LF sheet name, and you put the formula in here, okay, and then equals LF, here we go, sheet name, open, and you go and pick on a cell in any page. Let's go on the stock data type one, click a cell, enter, and that's the sheet name. And that formula is reusable in all my different sheets, okay? And it's simpler. And also, if I need to make a change, I make the change in one place to the formula, and then every formula in my workbook will update. That's where the real power of this is, I see. Okay, so that's a real whistle-stop introduction to Lambda, okay? Huge potential with it. I've seen some amazing sort of long formulas that have been really simplified. It can even call itself, which is mind-blowing. So investigate lambdas, okay? Lambdas are only available currently in the beta channel. XLOOKUP and dynamic arrays and everything else like that are all available in everybody's version of 365 now, as long as you've updated since July. Okay.
Here, Wyn, you got a tough question. Can Lambda cross workbooks?
I guess you could, as an input, you could reference it in, but you can't use a single Lambda that's the same Lambda can't be shared. You know, there's no central Lambda library yet. So you can copy and paste. I could copy that function into another workbook, and the named formula would also be in that workbook, but then they're independent. So if I make a change to one, the other one doesn't update. Okay, so copying and pasting works, but there's no central library yet. Okay. that would be very handy, having corporate level Lambda functions sort of things. Okay.
Gary's also asked, what about saving in the personal workbook? And I mean, you know, I don't know your thoughts on that one, Wyn, but I don't believe that would actually work in this case because the Lambdas actually are stored within the workbook. They're not like VBA that has a mechanism to reach across to another workbook.
Yeah, that would be my understanding. It's within the same workbook. Yeah. All good. Okay, so it's a way. So on with the next bit, and we'll come back at the end if there's extra questions or anything I've missed as well. Right. So the good news is that's the complicated stuff. On to the fun stuff. Right. On to the fun, nice and easy to comprehend stuff. So stock types. I don't know if you guys know about this yet. It's been around for a little while, but we can go in here, highlight these, go to stocks. You have to be connected to the internet for this. This is around in the current version of 365, so everybody should have this now. Click on stocks. It then turns them into the various stocks, and I can just click on here and say how many employees they have, or what's the current price, which everybody's interested in. Awesome, yeah. Or what is the where's the headquarters? Beautiful. You can even click on these little cards here and see a bunch of information about them. You can get a nice little image pops up if it'll come up quickly enough, given I'm streaming and all this sort of stuff. There we go. Okay, so all this information is in here and you can just click on anything to add it. Beautiful. However, there's a bit of a warning. Let me just do this one first. So currency types, let's go data. Stocks does actually work on those. It will turn them into currencies, but they've also now broken it out into a currency type as well. So I can click on currency and go for the price. So that's your current exchange rate. Okay, but the one I wanted to highlight is this. So this Zoom video communications was exactly the same as I typed in there. But these are all US companies, and it's sort of it, and this is listed on the same exchange as this one. So it sort of grouped them together. Watch what happens here. If I do this, exactly the same thing, and I say data stocks. Okay, this one doesn't even get found. And this one is on a different exchange. So it's a bit, you've got to be careful. And the only option available for Zoom is the NASDAQ listing isn't even available in this list. So it's a work in progress. They're developing this. But you just got to be careful that you do pick the right stock. Okay. So if I do pick this, it's going to give me this one. And these two are the same. But if I bring the price back here, it's actually bringing it in euros. And this gives me a warning that this is in the wrong currency, misleading format. So it turns it into euros because this is listed on the German Stock Exchange, I think. So yeah, be careful. But a new function, stock history. Okay, check this out. This is awesome. Equals. This is only available in the current channel, I think. Not yet available to everybody. Stock history. Pick a stock. Well, let's see how Zoom have done this year. Okay, starting in 2020. Ending today. Okay, enter. Off it goes. And here's a list of my daily closing stock prices. And let's just insert chart. So insert, let's go for a nice little area chart. As you can see, Zoom share price has done pretty well over the last year or so. Okay, so yeah, pretty funky. And you can just change this little formula here to say, right, don't refer to D9. Let's see how Amazon have done instead. Enter, off it goes, and there's your closing stock prices. And there's lots of different options, lots of different functionality. Okay, so check that out as well. Stock history coming soon. Right. I need anybody in the chat, or shout out if you want, and give me a name of a movie. Anybody got a favorite movie? Anybody watch anything over Christmas? What was on the cards? I need a movie from someone, otherwise I'm going to go to my default. I was going to go for White House Down to be topical, but I better not.
Pulp Fiction.
Oh, lovely option, Pulp Fiction. Thank you very much. Okay, Pulp Fiction. So data. Under here, under the data menu, are these new Wolfram Alpha data types, which one of the data types is movie. You can go medical, location, people type, space, university, all sorts of city options. Yeah, so let's go for movie. And I've pre-built some formulas in here that refer to that. So let's have a look. There we go. So Excel can now bring back this content from the Wolfram Alpha company. It just gives you all this information inside Excel now. And if you want to know where Bruce Willis was born, okay, where is that? Country, region. And we'll see born in Germany with a population of, has it got population? City population, 31,000 people. Okay, who needs the internet anymore? We just use Excel for everything, like we do anyway. Okay, awesome. Okay, so there we go. Different data types for all these sorts of things. You can now create your own. Okay, the data types are rolling out. I think these are not far off. I think maybe there's a possibility, and I'm guessing, that the January update, because if you're on the semi-annual channel, you'll get updates in January and July. This Wolfram Alpha stuff may be included in the January release. I don't know if anybody knows if it's on the monthly channel. I'm not sure that I'm demoing. So under here, file. So file, you can check what version you're on, account, and you just go in here. Okay, there's the version. Okay, beta channel I'm on. So if you log in, you might see semi-annual or current. The names keep changing, I lose track. All good. Yeah, but make sure you click the update button. Yeah. Okay, you can create your own data types. So what do I mean by that? Well, within a workbook, you can create your own compressed sort of data type. So for example, this table here, if I want to turn this using Power Query into a data type, I can. So here we go. I am going to, new function, by the way, watch this, right click, get data from table range. Nice. Saves me looking for data, get data. Awesome. Nice little right click option recently added. So get data from table range. That'll then pull this table of data into Power Query. So it'll whir away a second, open up Power Query. Okay, so what I'm going to do is do Control A to select everything, go transform, and then up the top here, create data type. This is on the transform menu. Okay, so create data type. And it'll ask me what I want to call this. Well, let's call it staff. That'll do. And display column is the name. That's the column you want to show with your data type. So click OK. And there we have it, a data type created for staff members. And I can load this. I'll just call it staff data type. OK, home, close and load to. And I will load it to an existing worksheet just here. Okay. And there we go. We've now got a data type, and I can click on here and say, bring me back the department. Or I can type in here and say phone. So it's feeding off that little data type. Okay. You can even sort this by things that aren't displayed. So I want to sort the staff members using this display value select field box here by years of service, largest to smallest. So Sam has the most years of service. And actually I can just type in here years of service and you can see Sam has 10 years of service. Awesome. Well, one little thing I forgot to show was going back here. Let's just go query edit. Okay, let's edit this query a second. Let me just show you one new little feature. Comments. This has got added fairly recently. So right click, properties. Okay. Staff data type. Not the greatest explanation of something, you know, why I did this, blah, 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 blah. That's what you should put in there. Click OK. You now get a little flag showing you've added a comment. Awesome. Okay. Close. Keep. Right. So let me jump into here. A couple of warnings. check this out. This is a little drop-down box that feeds off that list. Let me show you it. Data validation. It's just referring to that little range. Okay. And I'm going to pick, who should I pick? Let's pick Tess, right? Tess. And I can go equals this dot years of service. 5. Beautiful. Okay. I'll also copy and right click paste values. Unfortunately, it comes in as a data type. There's no way of pasting values. If I just want the name, you have to do something different, like equals that cell. That doesn't even work. So I'm not even sure how you'd get it out. So I'm just going to copy that formula down. Okay, working. Lovely, happy days. However, check this out. If I change Tess's years of service to 9 and then right click refresh this table, Tess is now 9, but Tess is showing 5 and 5. Ah. Now if I change this and click on Tess again, now it's showing 9. But there's no way of me changing this. The values you pasted is the data at that time. So if I go one step further and change Tess to 11 years of service and refresh this, I've now got Tess here 11, Tess here at 9, and Tess here at 5. Now for me, this is really risky, and this needs to be looked at by the Excel guys, okay, the Excel team. Okay, so the other option. This is workbook specific, okay? The Power Query exists in the workbook. It pulls it into the workbook. You can't then use it in another workbook, so you're locked down into that. However, you can have an organizational data type. So I can go here, data. I can go to my drop-down list, and here's my own organization data types that I've created. One's called staff master list, okay? So if I click on that, this is centralized and I could give access to anybody I need to, but you need a Power BI license to do it. Okay, that is the downside of this. Okay, typical demo gods have come back to haunt me. That is not working. I did a change the other day and that's clearly stuffed up. Okay, but let me show you how it should work. And maybe I'll even fix it in my process of showing you how it does work. Let me try that one more time. Staff master list. Am I signed in as somebody different? Oh, there we go. Weird. Don't know why that didn't work. I don't know why that didn't work. Let me try again. Data. Did I click on the wrong one? Let's try again. Ah, there we go. So it can't find my name because my name is not in that master list. But in here, we can say, you're right, I want the email. Okay. So you can have these master lists set up. So what you need to do is in Power BI, you need to create a little table, okay, with everybody in and all the information you want. Then within the table, you go in here and you've got to make it a featured table. Yes, and click edit. Okay, you give it a name. So you've got to pick the row label that you want to show up. That's the name. And then you need a unique ID. So ideally something like employee ID, but I've picked name because the name's unique in this case, but that's not going to be the case, in real world. Then you publish this. And once you've published it, you can then go into your data set and it should show up. Okay. So if I open up my little demo here, go into my data set. Let's just fire this up a second. Featured table. There are a couple of things you need to be aware of with this. Okay, let me go back here. Is that your admin needs to have enabled under tenant settings, allow connections to featured tables. Okay, so you do need that. If you want your data set to show up instantly for people, you can even endorse the data set and make it certified, and then it comes through for everybody. Otherwise, you can just search for it. But yeah, Power BI data, I won't jump into it in the interest of time and go into it in too much detail. But if you're interested in trying to set up a corporate level data type table, then you can do it. Okay, last couple of things. Bonus features, unhide multiple sheets. Awesome, right, it's easy to hide multiple sheets. You just Control Shift select them and you hide them in one go. Okay, so there's 3 sheets are hidden, but unhiding used to be a pain until you can now multi-select or even shift select. Okay, and there's all of them hidden in one go. Awesome, yeah. So beautiful bonus feature. Also, drop-down lists, data validation list. They can refer to tables on other sheets, and they will now automatically expand. They didn't used to automatically expand if the table was on a different sheet. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to this sheet and highlight this column. Okay. So here's my drop-down list. Let me just make it a different color so it stands out. Okay. Down the bottom here is my name, but there's nothing else underneath it. However, these days, with this new update, if I put a new one in, instantly this is now available. So that's awesome. That makes it much simpler to build dynamic drop-down lists that refer to other tables. Perfect. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Last little couple of things. Icons, cutout, shapes. Right. So insert icons. Make your spreadsheet. This is insert icons, right? Make a spreadsheet a bit more engaging using icons and graphics and stuff like this. There's all these icons now available in the Insider channel, coming soon to the main channel. One of the fun ones is cutout people. Okay, here we go. We've got cutout people. One of my favorites is Noah. Let's go find Noah. There's all sorts of different people. Where's Noah gone? Ian, did I miss him? Let's go back. Maybe oh, there's Noah. He's one of my favorites because he just looks dumbfounded by people's questions. Okay, so we can just add Noah in, insert. Okay, and you can use these just to, you know, spice up your reports, add some information to a presentation. You know, that's the sort of face you get sometimes when you ask IT help desk for some help. You can even put these images inside comments. So look, check this out. Yay, don't merge cells. Okay. Well done, Noah. Right, so you can even hide them inside little the notes. Okay, ink to shape. Totally random, but the draw function, if you haven't got the draw menu, right click, customize the ribbon and make sure you tick draw. It's often unticked. Okay, so with the draw ribbon, you can go, let me just make sure this is showing all the time. Okay, I'm going to draw with touch. I'm going to use that, and I'm going to go for ink to shape. So if you can draw a semblance of a circle, it turns it into a circle. If you draw a square, if you draw a pentagon, oh, that's not a pentagon, that's a hexagon. Awesome. Okay, I'm not sure why you would ever need that, but it's pretty funky. You can even do this one. So if I come over here, there's this pen here called the Action Pen. Again, I'm not 100% sure why I'd need this, but if you had a touch screen, I'm using my mouse, so this is not going to be the prettiest writing of the word 100. And press enter. It puts 100 in there for you. Okay, so it zooms in so you can get really into the cells, but all sorts of things like that. Okay, the draw. You can even do little squiggles, you know, diagrams, views. Okay, and then you can replay it afterwards. Again, I'm not sure why, but you can. Okay, final little ones here. Sheet view. So let me click auto save on. With sheet view, if multiple people are in the same sheet at the same time, then when you put a filter on, like if I want to filter for, you know, Darwin, then everybody else would see that filtered result, which is quite annoying for other people. So what you can now do is set your own view. Okay, so under here, under view, you've got this setting here. So I'm going to set this one as no filters. Oh, that's the default one, sorry, with everything showing. I'm going to add a new one. Okay, called no filters. Okay, then I'm going to filter this one for engineering and call it engineering. And the good news is these filters no one else sees. They're your personal ones. Okay, and you can exit sheet view as well. And you can come back to it up here if you always do engineering. Okay. Also, just so you know, with Office 365 and files saved on OneDrive and SharePoint, you've got this full version history going on. So you can click on this little name up here. You can click on version history, and you can reinstate any version that you previously saved. Check it out, see if you want to save over the current version. So that is a whistle-stop tour of all those different bits and pieces. Yes, Sheet View is only for OneDrive and SharePoint files. And that's a wrap. So if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn or Twitter or YouTube, or follow us on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. If you do a search for Wyn Hopkins, don't get me confused with the actor and male model who's got an IMDb entry. Not me. Okay. So thank you very much. If there's any questions, I'm happy to hang around for a while, and I'll also make this completed file available via the meetup group somehow. So thanks.
Quite a lot in there, man.
Oh no, thank you.
That's a good whirlwind tour. Yeah,
what I say is
fantastic.
Quantity, not quality, Ken.
I think there was a lot of good quality there too, Wyn. It's some cool stuff. It's amazing, isn't it? I mean, how much has actually happened in the last couple of years? Incredible.
It's insane. How do you keep up? You know, it's just like mad with all the things going on. It's
well,
it's awesome.
And for people that are watching this, I mean, Lambdas broke to us in what, December?
Yeah.
And when that came out, I think I emailed you, or I don't remember if I emailed you or not, but I'm thinking, poor Wyn. Oh my God, he's got to go and figure out how to use these damn things before he actually does his presentation. Good times.
Good stuff to do for your Christmas holiday. Yeah.
Exactly. At any rate, so I see lots of nice comments coming in. I don't see any more questions coming in though at all, but
no worries. If there's anything anybody wants to just shout out or ask or run through or anything like that, just let me know. But thank you to everybody for attending.
Well, hey, thanks for doing this again, Wyn. It's fantastic. What time is it where you are now?
Coming up to 10 o'clock in the morning. About to hit 42 degrees outside. I need to put my aircon back on.
Oh, good Lord. That is just nasty.